Hey folks, welcome back to another review with yours truly, Sam Healey. Today we're taking a look at this little fella right here, The Great Tour European Cities by Tactic. Now, this is a game that we picked up at Essen, I believe, last year, because this is, I believe, the Essen edition, as denoted right here. I don't know how available this game is, but I did want to review it after I played it because it has a lot of similarities with another game that's out there, and it's a pretty popular game as well. So basically what you're trying to do is you're trying to get the most points by connecting enough cities, completing enough tickets, and using route cards to do that. So let's get down to the table. I'll show you how it works, and we'll come back a little bit later for some final thoughts. Players are going to start with 3 route cards, and route cards have basically different city names on them, so that when you're traveling from one city to another, you have to use route cards or Joker route cards, which we'll get to in just a few moments, for each segment that is between the cities. So if you're traveling from Paris to Milano, then you're going to need 1, 2, 3 route cards, and one of them has to be Milano and one of them has to be Paris. But you could have 2 Parises and 1 Milano, or 2 Milanos and 1 Paris, or 1 of each and 1 wild. It's whatever combination. You just have to have at least 1 of each city. Now, toward that end, we are trying to get the most points. And so when you finish a ticket, which, by the way, over here, these are future tickets that will fill in the active tickets once they have been completed. You can only ever do active tickets, which are these. There's always 3 available. Or you can do a blank ticket, which is worth only 1 point, but it can be done between any 2 cities, not just the ones that are shown here. So you're going to be getting points for scoring these tickets. You're also going to be getting bonus points over here. These are each worth 5 points. Here's one example, bonus points for Milano. And what that means is that the first person to get 2 Milano tokens, in other words, they've ended their destination twice in Milano, they'll be able to take this, and it's worth 5 points at the end of the game. And there's one for each of the 5 cities like that. There's also this one, the first person to get 1 of each of the 5 city tokens gets 5 points. And then there's also whoever finishes the most tickets at the end of the game will also get 5 points. On your turn, you're basically going to be able to do one of 2 different things. You can either claim one of these active routes over here, or you're going to be able to draw cards from the route decks, and how many cards you draw determines by the deck. So first of all, here you can draw 3 cards. This is a normal route deck. There's just like the cards that I've showed you already. This deck right here is called the VIP route deck, and it has a whole bunch of different kinds of cards. It's got regular normal cards in it, but it also has these VIP cards in it. This is a wild VIP card. It can be used for any city. This is a Milano VIP, this is a Berlin VIP, and as you can see, there's a whole bunch of different things that are in here. Basically, VIP route cards are going to help you get to where you need to go faster, and we'll explain that a little bit more later. And then finally, you have the Joker deck over here, from which you can also draw just 2 cards from, and it has basically just a whole bunch of wilds, and it also has a whole bunch of other city cards in there as well. So this is where you're going to be getting a lot of those Joker or wild cards to use to complete your routes. So that's one of the things that you can do. You can draw cards, either 3, 2, or 2 from those respective decks. The other thing that you can do is claim one of these route cards or one of the blank route cards that are only worth 1 point. Now, to claim one of these routes, you have 2 basically starting locations that you can choose from, and then you have 1 location that you must be your destination. And as you can see here, sometimes you have 1 starting destination and 2 possible ending locations, but you do have to travel in the route that it says. So you have to leave from Paris and go to either Berlin or Wien. In this one here, you must leave from either Wien or Amsterdam and end in Berlin for this route. And so on Yellow's turn here, we're going to try to finish this ticket right here, the Berlin to Amsterdam. So I have to have my starting route here, and then I have to end my destination in Amsterdam. Of note, these red paths here are only used in a 5 to 6 player game. So in this 3 to 4 player game, I would not be able to use any of these. At the beginning of the game, that doesn't really matter that much. But once the board fills up with all of these different bus tokens, then making it a little bit harder to move around, then that will come more into play. But as it stands here, I just have to have a route between Berlin to Amsterdam, and I can find one right here. No worries at all. I simply play 3 route cards. 2 of them are Amsterdam, 1 of them is Berlin, and I go ahead and place with yellow my guys out here like so. And then my main bus here is going to go in my destination always. And that allows me to take this token here. These go into a discard pile, and then this ticket is placed face down here so that I can have it ready to complete those points later on in the game. At the end of my turn, this card will come down to fill in that spot. These will also come down as well, and another one is revealed for a future turn. A few turns later, blue is able to finally get their first ticket. So they're going to go after the Amsterdam to Milano. So we start up here in Amsterdam and we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 unhindered. Let me just show you what we can do. We could play a VIP ticket and actually place our first dude here like so. But that'll also make it an extra thing because we can't use this right here, so it would probably be better, but that's what VIPs can be used for. Normally, if you have a spot that's already taken, you have to use 2 cards for that one route. But if you have a VIP that fits one of the 2 cities, then you can use it to go here for just 1. But in this particular case, that's not the best thing to do. We're going to go here and just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like that. So we're going to play 1 Milano card and 1 Amsterdam card. We have to do that because those are the 2 cities that we're going for. Then we have to play, in this particular case, 3 more cards that either are wilds, like this one right here, or cards that are matching one of the 2 cities that are there. So I have my 5 cards, so I am able to finish the route. Those get put into a discard pile. And we can go ahead and place, oh, it's going to go there, 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 and there. Like so. And then our big bus gets put in the destination. And from that destination pile is where we actually gain one of the tokens. And then the card gets flipped over as well. And that ends the turn. We come over here. Next card comes down. And that's the end of the turn. Now the game's going to end when the last ticket from this deck gets put into the future tickets area of the board. And then everybody else, including the person that caused that one to be the last one to be put out there, will get their final turn. And then whoever has the most points after that final turn is the winner. Points are calculated by points that you have from the different tickets or routes that you finished, any bonus cards that you have as well. And whoever has the most points is the winner. So that's that for the Great Tour European Cities from Tactic. Now, I have to say that I did enjoy the game because I enjoy another game that's a lot more popular and a lot more well-known called Ticket to Ride. And this has a lot of similarities between itself and Ticket to Ride by Alan R. Moon. So I do enjoy the game. It plays 3 to 6 players. It allows for 8-year-olds on up, generally speaking, which is pretty much the same for Ticket to Ride as well. So why would I play this over Ticket to Ride? I probably wouldn't, because, and you know, myself and a couple others while we were playing the game actually said this, it feels like kind of the prototype version of Ticket to Ride. It's not as elegant, it's not as streamlined, it's not as easy, I guess you could say, as Ticket to Ride is. And so, yeah, But I mean, let me share some pros of the game for you. First of all, I loved the wooden pieces. I loved the retro kind of, I guess, 1950s era bus model that they used with the flat front and the kind of cut off back, the streamlined back there. I really enjoyed those. I thought they were cool, and I also enjoyed using that as an opportunity to tell the people I was playing with, you know, some of them were teenagers, that you're placing it backwards. The streamlined version is in the back, not the front. And I just thought that was a cool old person opportunity to teach there. Just like in Ticket to Ride, the game plays very quickly. There's very little downtime. You do your turn, and before you know it, it's your turn again, because a lot of times people are simply drawing cards, trying to get the different route cards that they need. And that leads me to another pro of the game, and that is I like how the cards were split up into 3 different kinds of decks. That's something that is different from Ticket to Ride. Instead of having wilds and regular route cards all in the same deck like Ticket to Ride does, they actually split them up into 3 different kinds of decks. The VIP deck is also a cool thing because I like being able to go where somebody else has gone. That's one of the things that I don't like about Ticket to Ride, that if there aren't any places left in that segment, if somebody has already gone there, or if a couple other people have already gone there, you won't be able to go there. You have to find another way around. Well, that changes in the Great Tour, because you can go where somebody else has gone. You just have to pay more route cards to go there. So I like that aspect of the game, and I also like the fact that those different cards that you may need for those different circumstances can be found in 3 separate decks. Now, you're diminishing the number of cards that you're going to draw if you draw from that Joker deck or from the VIP deck, but you can go and possibly get have a higher possibility of getting those cards that you need by simply drawing from those different decks. You're not restricted to just the one big one. So that's another pro. And unfortunately, that's about all I have to say that's positive about the game. Everything else is just kind of a redo and somewhat of a unattractive redo, because, as I said before, the graphic design of the game was okay to a point, but then it just got about, you know, halfway, maybe 3/4 of the, about a quarter of the game, way into the game. It just got kind of old and repetitive, and kind of began to take away from my experience with the game rather than add to it. And I'm a big aesthetic person. I like to have good-looking boards. I like to have good-looking cards, good graphic design, all that kind of stuff. And this one just kind of left me wanting more of that. Another con of the game is that while you did have the ability to draw from those different decks, it still relied pretty heavily upon luck of the draw, because that VIP deck does not have just VIP cards in it. It also has normal route cards in it. But and then the Joker deck does also have regular route cards in it. So while you have a higher possibility of getting those different special kinds of cards, it's still a luck of the draw type thing. And that's unfortunate for me, because that's another thing that I really don't like about Ticket to Ride, is that it can heavily depend upon luck of the draw. And while this one, it doesn't rely as heavily because you can draw from those more pointed focused decks, it still has it pretty strong, because part of that is determined by the active tickets that are out there. If the cards that are in your hand don't match any of the cities that are in those active tickets, well, you're kind of stuck with either just drawing more cards or completing a blank ticket, which in the end is only worth 1/3 or possibly 1/5 of one of the other tickets that could be out there and active. So it's I guess it's a workaround, but I think it's a weak workaround, those blank tickets. So with all that having been said, I'm going to go ahead and give the Great Tour European Cities a 6 out of 10. It is definitely a fun game. I did enjoy it, but I have to say that most of my enjoyment from the game was remembering how much I enjoy Ticket to Ride and how seamless that one is. But I do like some of the differences that the Great Tour does. Having those 3 different decks out there, having only active tickets, not having your own hand, that's another difference as well. So I liked those differences, but in the end, it pretty much just reminded me of how much I enjoy Ticket to Ride. And that's unfortunate for a game because it is good, it is designed well, but it feels kind of like a prototype version of a game that's already out there, which is difficult to justify in some cases. So 6 out of 10 isn't bad. I think it's a decent game and I wouldn't mind playing it again, but ultimately I'd simply rather play Ticket to Ride. So that's it from me for the Great Tour European Cities Essence Edition. We'll see you guys and gals on the flip side.